Fundamental Theorem of Calculus connects differentiation with integration and states that they are inverses of each other. A good understanding of both differentiation and integration will be very helpful in understanding the fundamental theorem. The Fundamental Theorem of Calculus also references other theorems in its proof. It's easier to understand the fundamental theorem if we study the theorems used in its proof first. Here's some suggested material to study and a suggested order to study it in. I'd first suggest studying continuous functions and the intermediate value property. The fundamental theorem of calculus is valid for functions which are continuous. By building a good understanding of what a continuous function is, that'll aid in our understanding of the theorem. Also, later on, when we're studying differentiation and integration, we'll be working with continuous functions. So our knowledge of continuous functions will help us there too. And later on, we'll use the intermediate value property to prove the mean value theorem for definite intervals. I then suggest studying differentiation and integration, specifically aiming to build an understanding of the derivative of a function as representing the instantaneous rate of change of that function at a point, and aiming to build an understanding of the antiderivative of a function as being some other function which, when we differentiate it, gives us the original function, and to build an understanding of the indefinite integral of a function as representing the set of all antiderivatives of that function, and to build an understanding of the definite integral of a function as representing the net area between the function curve and the horizontal axis. I then suggest studying the mean value theorem for derivatives. We'll use this theorem later on in the proof of the Fundamental Theorem of Calculus, Part 2. I then suggest studying the mean value theorem for definite integrals. And we'll have already covered the intermediate value property which we use in the proof of this theorem. And we will already have revised definite integrals, and that will also aid us in our understanding of this theorem. I then suggest studying the Fundamental Theorem of Calculus, Part 1. Now here we'll use the mean value theorem for definite integrals in the proof of the Fundamental Theorem of Calculus, Part 1. And I then suggest studying the Fundamental Theorem of Calculus, Part 2. Now here we'll use the mean value theorem for derivatives in its proof. So that's some suggested material to study and a suggested order to study it in. This is some advice on time management. The Fundamental Theorem of Calculus can be more challenging to learn under time pressure. It requires good understanding of differentiation and integration. It also uses other theorems in its proof. The pitfall here is that if we sit down to learn and understand the Fundamental Theorem of Calculus under time pressure, we can find ourselves attempting to learn 4 different theorems at the same time, in addition to revising topics from differentiation and integration. It can be much easier to learn and study the Fundamental Theorem of Calculus without time pressure. So ideally, you want to try to avoid a time pressure situation if you can. With adequate preparation and time, you should find the theorem easier to study and learn.